Good morning, everybody. It's Brett, your thankful carnivore. It is April the 8th, a Wednesday, and this is today's Thankful Carnivore Report. Appreciate you all taking time out of your day to listen to me ramble on about things related to the carnivore way of eating and other issues that I might find important on any given day. Check me out across all my social media at thankful.carnivore on Instagram, on Twitter, where the meat eating savages still run wild. It's Stickman Bleeding. That's STICKMANBLEEDIN. Don't add a G. Facebook, YouTube, Thankful Carnivore. I want to talk to you all about my traveling experience. As many of you know, I was in West Virginia for 3 weeks, helping to take care of my father in home hospice. And it was a very unique experience because with this coronavirus hysteria, etc., there was a lot of factors at play that normally I wouldn't have to deal with when traveling. And primarily, what I saw and what I prepared for was the fact that all the restaurants and eateries that would normally be open in an airport, well, they're all closed. So on the flight up, I had to, there was lunch. I get hungry 3 times a day, and that second time of the day falls between 10:30 and 11, almost every morning. And I have to prepare for that because, as I've discussed in previous talks and whatnot, if I'm late with my meat's my medicine. If I'm late taking my medicine, then bad things can start to happen. And that was just not, not an acceptable possibility. So what we did was, before I left home from Florida, we fried up a bunch of bacon, about a pound of bacon, and put it in a plastic bag, and I put it in my carry-on. And my way to West Virginia from Florida was a little ridiculous. I had to go to Dallas Fort Worth Airport from Jacksonville, and then back from there back to Charlotte, and then from Charlotte to West Virginia. So it was during the long flight from Dallas Fort Worth to Charlotte that I ate my bacon. And they were still giving out water at that time on that flight, so that worked out well. Um, didn't have any issues as a result. That bacon got me through to where I was able to function and stay sane. Very peaceful, pleasant flight. Interestingly enough, their flights were barely a quarter full, barely an eighth full in some instances. Everybody sat far apart. I at no time felt any concerns or worries about catching anything. Once I got to West Virginia, things were very different. In the stores that I would count on here in my local area in Jacksonville, well, up there they were just not very reliable. A matter of fact, Sam's Club in general has been an extreme disappointment to me in this environment, this coronavirus world that we're now trapped in. They're doing a really poor job at keeping their meat stocked. It's just been really awful the way they've treated their customers. I'm very disappointed, and I don't have anything good to say about them. I do have good things to say about Aldi's. I have good things to say about BJ's, and I have good things to say about our local IGA store. They're keeping meat on the shelves. There's not, people are able to buy the meat they need and crave and can afford at those grocery stores, in my experience. But in Huntington, it was Aldi's and Kroger's where I got the majority of my meat. And another interesting fact was they didn't have the big 10-pound chub, the rolls, tubes, whatever term you want to use to it, whatever's hip today. And by the way, the word chub, and find another word for those tubes. It's ridiculous. Anyway, they came in 1 pound packages. Now, I'm at my parents' house. They're not, there's not scales to weigh meat and things like that. So I just kept it simple and ate a pound of lean ground beef. Up there, the leanest I could find was 90-10, and I ate a lot of 85-15, which served me well. But I just ate a pound of ground beef every meal, and the same amount of bacon I normally would. And it was interesting because when I came back on the trip back, I made up my mind, okay, my first morning back in Florida, I need to weigh myself just to satisfy my own curiosity. Because I knew I'd been eating a lot more meat and I wasn't getting the same kind of exercise. In fact, I was getting minimal exercise because I was there to be a caregiver. And so the only real exercise I got was when I needed to move Dad around or to hold him up in the early days while he could still stand up and sit in the wheelchair. But I didn't really have any exercise. Anyway, I ended up losing 1 pound. So I ate more meat per day and lost weight. So much for your calories in, calories out nonsense, right? And on the way back, and I'm talking about traveling and adapted, and on the way back, I was flying into the Charlotte airport and then from Charlotte here to Jacksonville. And I just knew there wasn't going to be any food to buy in Charlotte. And I was right. There was nothing open that you could buy hot cooked food. Nothing. Starbucks was open, but I don't even call that food. And it was horrible in that regard. Plus, the place was like a ghost town. So again, I fried up a pound of bacon, put it in a plastic baggie. And now it was very disappointing. Well, on the way back, the airlines, American Airlines, was no longer giving out water or anything. Now, how that was going to prevent and cut down on transmission of the virus, it's nonsensical because the stewards and stewardesses were still moving back and forth just as often up and down the aisles. It was just a complete non sequitur. But oh, no water. I ate my bacon. I was just fine. Plan. You can travel in this environment if you have to. It's not hard. You just have to be common sense has to rule the day. You cannot do this if you're eat up with fear and worry and concern. I eat meat, I drink water. I have a robust immune system. I have no worries about this virus. Matter of fact, I won't be surprised if next year, if I sprung for the test and I find out that I've had the antibodies, I caught the virus and didn't have any problems. And I'm not going to live in the world of what if. Just refuse to. But you can travel as a carnivore. Eat your meat when you need to eat it, when you're hungry. You just have to plan ahead. You have to use your noggin. You're not suffering from brain fog. It's not an insurmountable situation. And frankly, other than seeing fear in other people's eyes on occasion, it was an uneventful trip for me as far as the actual act of traveling. And, I'm still 100% symptom free, worry free. Now, I want you all to understand something. I want you to respect this illness. Respect it. It's what I've said since day one. Respect it. Do not live in fear of it. Because if you're taking care of your body, if you're feeding it nothing but human absorbable nutrition, you're going to have as robust an immune system as is possible to have. And as long as you don't have some underlying condition, you're not metabolically imbalanced, you don't have an autoimmune issue, you're not suffering from insulin resistance, any of that long list of things that we've talked about that a poor diet inflicts upon a human being. Now, if you've got those things, you need to be careful. You need to stay home. Period. You just do. It's just not worth the risk. But if you're healthy and robust, wash your hands, use some common sense, and yes, it appears now that wearing a mask in public is a good idea. So much for the World Health Organization, which in my opinion has zero credibility on anything with regards to human health. Completely useless. Nothing the World Health Organization says to me from now until the day I die has any value whatsoever for me. Again, I only speak for me. I don't speak for anybody else. A couple of things I want to update you on. This Sunday, there's going to be a new episode of Ask Danielle. I also want to remind folks, my coaching calendar is back up at MeetRx. You can get a 30-minute carnivore coaching session for under $20 at meetrx.com. Come check me out. You're looking for a coach to help you start out the carnivore way of eating, to help you tweak what you've been doing. Look me up. I've got some experience and some very happy clients along the way. Listen, my friends, don't live in fear. Plan ahead if you have to travel. Continue to do the things you know you need to do to take care of you. Eat your meat, drink your water, and remember, you've got something to be thankful for. I'll check you guys out tomorrow. Be well, my friends.